am Dr. Teresa Penbrooke, and this episode of GP Red Presents is called Creative Programming Now. We are talking with Frank Carson, who is the Director of Parks and Recreation in El Cajon, California. And Frank is talking about how agencies can continue to provide services to their communities, often through virtual means or other creative means, during this time of COVID-19 pandemic. But a lot of these ideas can be carried forward. He has been following different ideas across the country and in California and just really brings some cool things to us. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and then if you have any additional topics that you'd like us to cover in the future, go ahead and email us at info@gpred.org, or you can leave a comment below. But most of all, what we want you to do is just really enjoy the topic. So have fun. So obviously with GP Red, we are helping agencies around the country kind of figure out how to deal with the current given circumstances around COVID-19. And I know one of the reasons I wanted to talk with you today and to share some of your thoughts is that you have been posting on LinkedIn, social media, various other places that I've seen, a lot of really cool creative ideas about programming things that can be happening right now. Because I know a lot of agencies are shut down. Obviously, a lot of people have to stay at home and trying to figure out how we can help people in our communities given the circumstances. So I thought, if you don't mind, what I'd love to have you do is just kind of talk through how you're responding, and then also maybe give some examples about other agencies that you have seen and some of the cool things that they're doing.
Yes, so right away, we met as a team here in El Cajon, I would say March 12th, and we recognized that we needed to do a lot of things immediately. So we opened up one of our recreation centers as a shelter for family members of our city employees so they could take their kids to what we're calling a day camp during the day, so their parents that were essential workers could still show up to work for the city while their kids were being taken care of, because a lot of those services have been shut down. Schools are shut down, daycare are shut down. So
right.
we established that starting March 16, and then we started looking at community engagement strategies. What could we do to engage our community more than what we were, rather than closing classes, canceling classes? So we started the Hopscotch Challenge with the El Cajon Rec Squad, where we did like a sabotage video from, played it off the Beastie Boys Sabotage. And we did a really fun video, but we hit 108 homes total, where we drove to their house and drew hopscotch out, brought them a swag bag. And with that, I used it as a strategy, an engagement strategy, to then get a sponsor for our next one. We got Kaiser Permanente now, and they want to be engaged even more after this. Our latest launch is Jump. We're going to have 3 more launches after this. And that's where we're dropping off jump ropes. And we did a fun video with it, with the Van Halen's Jump song. But not only that, we're doing sidewalk chalk art, where it's like a circuit course. We're going to draw it on the sidewalk in front of their homes. So we're really engaging. It's like a PR campaign, so to speak, for the city, of promoting health and wellness in the city. We're bringing parks to the people, so to speak. My staff, I've given them a lot of free range, and so they've created their own virtual rec center. We copied what City of Watsonville actually did more in the state, and shared that with the state people, and a lot of people throughout the state of California created these virtual rec centers. I gave the rec staff a lot of independence to create their own, and they've blown it up. It looks great, our own virtual rec center, a lot of videos on it, staff teaching things. Beyond that, we're trying to do anything we can to stay engaged with the community. So we're looking at doing free virtual online classes for the remainder of the spring. We got direction from our city council to do that. And even beyond that, we're looking at hosting, if we can't do a summer camp in person, doing a virtual summer camp where parents can come and pick up that weekly packet of stuff, a box, so to speak. And then we run through different exercises through Zoom or something, and we offer them some type of still camp opportunity or access that way.
Wow.
But the big thing we want is to be relevant to our community and stay engaged. So that's a lot of where our basic strategy comes from.
Let me go back a little bit, just a couple of the really things and cool things that you said. You mentioned, going to people's homes and dropping things off. Are you having your residents kind of register for those types of activities, or how do you pick the homes that you're going to involve?
So we promote it through, we hit them 7 ways. So if you remember, you and I sat on a board with the REITs Marketing Revenue Sources Management School. Save that fast. But in there, you learn that you have to market a product 7 ways. So
Mm-hmm.
we not only shared the video on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, we also have access to email of our past participants. So we emailed it. We also have access to text our past participants. So we texted them that communication. We used a couple of other strategies to communicate, this is what we're doing. And we had them register online through a Google form. We just used a Google form and we captured their data. We used our GIS department to create a map. So then we could just be the most time efficient, hit different quadrants of the city at different times. And it's a wide variety of the city all around of people wanting these hopscotches. The cool thing was I added a comment section and I really read a lot of cool things. Some of them, for example, I'm going to paraphrase, my son's autistic. This is something that would really brighten his day. And so we actually curtail it to someone that may be diagnosed with autism. Another person wrote, my husband is immune deficient and we haven't been able to leave the house at all. So my kids would absolutely love a visit and watch you guys safely from a window, draw the hopscotch on the sidewalk, and we would come out later and play. So those are really positive stories and allows us to tell our story more back to our decision makers or elected officials about the impact we're having in our city.
Do you feel like you are reaching much reduced numbers or similar numbers, or how is that working relative to the people that you would normally be serving with your programming?
That's a good question. So we're unique in many respects to where about more than 9% of our programs are staff taught. And with that, almost half of our programs are non-resident. So what we're seeing is we're actually capturing a whole new group of people. I would say, looking at the numbers, almost 60% are people that we've never touched before.
Wow.
And so just looking at that contact with people, they're being introduced to our programs and services for the first time. And so it's a pretty cool thing. There's some people that live right on the border of our city that we haven't been able to service necessarily with the rec squad. So I personally just call them and say, hey, I'll come out there on my own time and I'll draw the hopscotch for you. I can't do it being that their residents can't send the rec squad out, and they've been pretty flexible with that too.
Wow. So when your staff are doing these kind of outreach efforts, how are you? Are they protected using masks and that sort of thing?
Absolutely. Yeah. They wear the N95 masks. We have them with nitrile gloves. And we ask the people, we call them ahead and ask them to stay inside just so we can be there and do our thing quickly and then leave the swag bag and leave. And then they can come out and play. But we ask that there's no, even 6 foot or 10 foot, we want them just to be inside the whole time that we're there, just so everybody's safe in that respect.
So for those who may not understand, I mean, I've had some people say, well, in Parks and Recreation, why are you doing this? Who cares? And can you talk a little bit about why we need to go out into our communities and do this type of outreach during a time like this?
I think what we offer, beyond the simple statement of health and wellness, is that we're able to bring people up in times of great dire straits. I know that just having a 16 or 13-year-old at home and in their own funk and depression mode, I believe everybody across the country right now has some level of depression, being stuck at home. And this is an opportunity for us to bring play out. If you look at like Kaboom, their big motto used to be play matters, and now their hashtag is play at home. And that's what they're pushing for playgrounds. So we're trying to bring that play at home. So if we can offer anybody some highlight to their day, we've seen a lot in social media, people sharing just what the rec squad came out. Some of our people from our rec squad went to Rubio's. It's like a taco shop chain thing here in San Diego area, but they're stopped by people saying, hey, are you the rec squad? So we definitely see that they have a greater presence now. It's a converted Land Survey orange vehicle that's quite obnoxious looking, but we've been able to just inherit it and then just slap our own logo on it and made it work. It was basically just redeploying our resources type of thing.
That's great. Well, speaking of resources, I know in El Cajon and certainly in other communities around the country, a lot of us are really trying to look at the equity issues. And I know that you have a large segment of the population in El Cajon is under-resourced. Can you talk maybe a little bit about how you feel about making this kind of an equitable provision of service?
I have to be careful how I target that, because I I don't want to specifically target one section of the population.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, we are definitely trying to get communications out in Spanish, Arabic, and Aramaic or Chaldean. We have the third largest Chaldean population, which is Iraqi Christian or Iraqi Catholics outside of Iraq, so Detroit, and then us here in El
Wow.
Cajon. So definitely having those communications going on Iraqi radio locally and having those conversations. I don't speak Arabic or Chaldean,
Mm-hmm.
but we would have a translator there for us, and having that. Also reaching out through the school district. So the school district on the valley floor here, they don't even have to do the paperwork anymore to qualify for free or reduced lunch because of the census tract qualifications they're already in on our valley floor in El Cajon. So working with the superintendent there, we send out our communications about our program services, especially about the Hopscotch Challenge and Jump. Through that, all the Google Chromebooks, the school district controls the desktop image.
Mm-hmm.
And so that superintendent's actually been able to have that desktop image on that computer to promote what we're doing also. So, and kids can see that and see if they see us driving by, it's like the ice cream man, it's the rec squad, or come out and wave out of their house. We'll even, oftentimes we'll stop. We'll say kids to like ask them, hey, go inside. We'll draw a hopscotch, or we'll pull over, draw a quick hopscotch and go. But definitely kids look forward to us driving by in their community in that respect.
Well, that's wonderful. So as you think, I know you're pretty well connected with other professionals in our field. And as you think about, as we start entering, I mean, I see this as part of recovery. Certainly we at GP Red and at Greenplay believe that, Parks and Recreation are preventive health. And as we're in the middle of this tragedy right now, but we are also looking at how we can help our communities recover going forward. Are there what kind of things, as you're talking with your colleagues, are you keeping in mind? What kind of considerations that you think are most important, especially as we're thinking around recreation programming that we need to address as we're moving forward over the next few months?
I think it's really making sure that we can have the staff to can still provide our program, the services when things come back to a new normal, and whatever that may be. Do we do temperature checks with everybody that comes into our paid programs, or do we have plexiglass at all of our countertops? These are all considerations that we're looking at right now. Beyond that, I think for agencies are, many of us are going to have very difficult budget shortfalls coming up. And how do you still maintain yourself as an essential service? And so how do we advocate for ourselves? We say, well, we're still keeping our pools open because drowning is the leading cause of preventable death for ages 1 to 5 in the United States. And those are empirical evidence arguments that we have to publicly make. Or a USDA study came out and said that county governments, when they limit access to a park, crime increases by 17%. And these are statistics that we want to pull out and share those with decision makers so they know that if you decrease our services, you're going to end up paying for it through the other end with your police being activated to do other things. So how can we get our police chief or sheriff to work with us so that we are also seen as a partner to them and we're part of public safety in many respects?
Yeah, I think that's such a big message to get out there. I know that I've had some colleagues say they really just want information to give to their decision makers, because so many of our decisions right now are being made at kind of an acute level, where everybody's, a lot of our political leaders are trying to be responsive, and our, decision makers are trying to be responsive to the situation right now. And obviously we want to be safe. We want to respond in the best way possibly that we can, but we're also seeing this need to look long term, and it's really feeling like our services are becoming even more and more crucial and more essential in our communities right now. Is that what you're coming across too?
Absolutely. I think if anything right now, people are recognizing that what we offer is something that many people in the community haven't actually realized how important it is to them until it's taken away. So I saw a meme recently where it was on an average day, you saw all the family, they're on their tablet or phone device,
Right.
but now they're told that they can't go to a park. So everybody's walking in the park. And that was very true. Once people were told that they had to limit active recreation at park, they started showing up to the beaches and parks in San Diego County. And we had to re-communicate, okay, physical distancing and other county public health protocols. But I think this moment, if it taught us anything, is capturing that where people saw an incredible value in their public park system.
Yeah, and I think that's true. And some of the questions I get are, well, why aren't people just, playing with their families? Why are the families handling all this? Why do they need us as governmental employees to come in and do programming? And I know some of the answers I give, but I wondered if you might address that, why it's so important for us to have things like the rec squad and those sort of things out there in the community.
Well, I think first of all, not all parents, such as myself, I have an aquatics background, so I may teach my daughters water polo and swimming and other aquatic related activities, kayaking, snorkeling, but maybe not a lot of parents will have that capability to do. We know from national surveys that 50% of the population want to learn how to swim and 50% don't. It's roughly right around down the middle, but everybody should learn how to swim to just save their own life, or at least learn the back float, so to speak. But we know that even if parents have that aquatics background, I don't know enough about ballet to teach ballet. And the more we can expose our youth to at an early age, or just as youth in itself, the better developed they're going to be as they grow to be adults, because they're going to have that exposure to so many different things. What we offer in Parks and Recreation is introductory into dance, cheer, gymnastics, tumbling, youth sports, different types of specialized programs, martial arts, drumming, other music classes. So having that time, also even just having drop-in activities at a rec center, it teaches you social skills. And when we have camps, it teaches actually them a greater deal of self-confidence. Even 1 week of camp, if they go to it away from their parents, we do know just through our own studies that the children's confidence level increases a great deal, just because they've had to be that independent. They've had to be that independent decision maker, and they've had to build those relationships on their own without any guidance from their parents. So it makes them more independent, but also makes them more confident.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're really out there, and people are starting to realize how important we are for just community growth, and especially with our youth, where we can really affect the change immediately, but also for parents, a lot of people learning different things. So, I think this gives us a real opportunity as a field to come together and help the rest of our community members understand why it's so important to fund parks and recreation and related programming. And I know sometimes people think it's just around sports or just around physical activity or those sorts of things. Right. And even, your sidewalk art, programming, I think, that's teaching creativity and art. Is teaching about the idea that it's not only physical, it's also mental and the cultural, and we've got to have all these different aspects. So, well, you've provided a really nice overview of just some unique ideas for people to consider as they're going forward. And as we move forward in our GP Red Presents series, we're going to kind of cover a variety of different ideas as they come up. But I really want to thank you for your time today. It's been great to just have this conversation and want to share this out there with the rest of our colleagues. So thanks a lot for being with us today, Frank.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, everybody.
This episode of GP Red Presents is part of a GP Red special initiative called Operation Recreation Response, with a focus on helping agencies prepare for, respond to, and recover from disasters. If you are interested in becoming involved with ORR, please email info@gpred.org.